Okay, so after my last just little fun video, I thought I'd follow up with something very serious. I want to talk about my personal views on the state of Israel. Now, I've been an Israel supporter for basically my whole life. I was raised in predominantly in a very conservative household. My mother is a very devout Christian, an evangelical Christian, and growing up, I was always told, we have to support Israel. We have to support Israel. We must. We must. We must. Unfortunately, the reasons for that for many Christians are not. Basically, they base a lot of this on the accounts of the Book of Revelations, where the Jews returning to Zion is basically the signaling the end of the world. It's the beginning of the apocalypse, and apparently evangelical Christians believe by supporting Israel, they are helping bring about the end of the world. And I've got to say that's not a very not a viewpoint that well, I obviously don't share it anymore, but it's just, I think it's kind of a destructive mindset to actually want for the world to end. But at any rate, getting back to that on the state of Israel, I fully support Israel's right to exist, even still, now that I've become an atheist. I believe, I learned about the Holocaust and all the horrible bigotry that the Jewish people have endured through so many years. I mean, when I was in high school, we had to read The Merchant of Venice by Shakespeare. And I mean, this was, just kind of very common things for them, but it is so anti-Semitic. Um, so I understand that the Jewish people have faced incredible persecution throughout the years. And of course, the Holocaust is the absolute worst example of it. Um, there's, I mean, I don't have to talk about the Holocaust unless you're one of those Holocaust deniers, to which I say, screw you. Because for if you want to call it a hoax, I'm sorry, the evidence that it actually happened is so overwhelming that to claim it's a hoax is ridiculous. So the thing about the state of Israel, and this is kind of my personal viewpoint, is that, it was basically created in the aftermath of this. And, you know, the Jews, after having faced something like that, I really do believe they deserve a homeland, a place where they can not fear persecution. I mean, I think it's good to live in a place where you do not fear persecution. But the problem I have found with Israel is that you'd think, after having experienced so much racism, so much discrimination, that that Israel would be a very racially tolerant state, a racially and culturally tolerant state. And culturally, I guess it is, as long as you're Jewish. I mean, they've taken in, Jews from all around the world, from, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, the Americas, all of that. But the establishment of Israel came at a cost of the people that were there. Now, many of the, ultra right wingers in Israel will say this land was always ours. It was given to us by God. And, look at these landmarks off in the distance, like 1,000 or whatever, a couple thousand years ago, that was built by Jews, and this was our kingdom back then. Yes, but that was a very long time ago, and the Palestinians have been in that area I've heard some conservatives say that the Palestinian people don't even exist, and they do exist, and they're people. To be honest, with the Palestinians, my advice has always been to them, adopt a nonviolent approach. If you truly want a two-state solution, if you really want to improve your situation, and if you want to actually, make Israel look bad, adopt a nonviolent approach. The examples of Mahatma Gandhi, and Dr. Martin Luther King were powerful examples of how simple, passive resistance can work wonders. I learned a lot about this in college, and I remember hearing about, for many Palestinians, throwing rocks at Israeli soldiers and then getting the crap beaten out of them for it was like a rite of passage. And, that's not a constructive way of doing things. And if one approach doesn't work, try another. This whole, electing Hamas, firing these rockets into Israel, it's not working. It's not helping your cause. If you truly want to improve your situation, don't attack Israel. Simply passively resist. And the thing about Gandhi and Martin Luther King is that their approach worked by exposing the people that they were fighting against for the bigots they were, for the violent people they were, for the hateful people that they were. And that is my personal advice to the Palestinians. On the Israeli side, also try to, supporting Israel does not necessarily mean supporting the current Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm a diehard Israel supporter. I support its right to exist. I kind of don't like how it's now being called a Jewish state. I mean, I wouldn't like America being called a Christian state. I don't like, and with Judaism, I do understand it's not just a religion. It's also an ethnic identity and all of that. It's the nature of being Jewish is very different from being a Christian or being a white person, because your faith, your history, and your ethnicity are very intertwined. So I do support Israel's right to exist and to defend itself, 100%, absolutely. But I really wish that to me, it seems under, Benjamin Netanyahu, it seems like Israel is actively just trying to provoke, attack. These settlements that they keep building, they know it's going to anger people. They know it's going to anger the rest of the world. They know it's going to provoke more attacks, but they still keep doing it. And I get it. You believe that this is your land and that you have a right to be there. And you have the right to that opinion, but we need to be a little bit more pragmatic here. Okay, this is not helping Israel. Israel, they're starting to alienate their biggest ally, America. I mean, Obama had to go through with this Iran deal, and the thing is, Netanyahu came and addressed our Congress, invited by the Republicans, to kind of snub Obama. And I don't like that level of disrespect. It almost seems as if Netanyahu believes, I think what Netanyahu needs to realize is that Israel needs America more than America needs Israel, and you have nothing to gain by alienating us. And to be honest, I think a lot of Americans are getting a little bit tired of this constant fighting in this region. And neither side is blameless. That's the important thing to consider. Atrocities have been Atrocities have been committed on both sides. And I think the only way for us, who am I kidding? I don't feel like there's ever going to be a peaceful solution to this. Not unless, on the off chance, there emerges a completely different way of thinking about things. I remember when I was in college, when I was taking linguistic anthropology, my professor, he wasn't a professor at the time, he was still a doctorate student, but his specialty was Semitic languages, and one of the things he said to us is that the word peace in Hebrew and Arabic, both will use this term, and it roughly translates to peace. But the connotations of those words are very different. In Hebrew, the term for peace, again, I don't speak Hebrew, I don't speak Arabic, I might be full of it. This is just a story that was told to me by a person whom I considered, something of an expert. He said in Hebrew, the word for peace has a connotation of meaning we give you something and you leave us alone. In Arabic, the term for peace has the connotation of meaning we find a solution that everyone's going to be happy with. Now, on the Arabic side, there's not going to be a solution to this problem, to this situation that everyone is going to be happy with. It seems the Arab world's only solution is to wipe Israel off the map. And I'm sorry, but Israel is here to stay. Israel is not going to give up its land. It would sooner nuke the entire region than give up its land. So it's time to grow up and give up on that, because it isn't going to happen. On the Israeli side, simply giving a couple of concessions little token things to it's not gonna stop the attacks. You've you've got to change just kind of how you treat people. I think one of the major problems is the fact that at least under Netanyahu, this is considered a Jewish state. Well, not all Israeli citizens are Jewish, and by calling it a Jewish state, you are relegating these people to second-class citizens, and not all Palestinians are friggin' terrorists. Heck, the thing I think a lot of Christians don't realize is that a lot of the Palestinians that live in Israel proper are actually Christians. Where is your support for them? Seriously. So, in light of these things, I wish there was a solution to this situation, but unless some revolutionary person like a Gandhi or a Martin Luther King comes along, I feel like the bloodshed is just going to continue, and it's sad, but we keep trying to find a solution to the problem, and unless something changes in how people think, it's just not going to. A pessimistic view, I guess, but I think I think a lot of people realize that the situation over there is just so sad. For me, Israel, as I was stating earlier, was a state established in the aftermath of one of the most horrible racist atrocities ever committed in the history of the world. And yet, Israel has also become one of the most racist countries in the world. And it's such a horrible tragedy because it's so depressingly ironic. So, that's it.